Welcome to the Romanian River channel, in my preview / first impressions of Rebel Galaxy, a space simulation / open world game made by the developers at Double Damage Games. Now, slight disclaimer before we begin. I've gotten a review copy from them, so me being such a small fry, I feel a little bit flattered. But I will try to maintain as objective a lens as possible. Now, I could spend a lot of time faffing about showing you X, Y, Z and stuff like that, but technically speaking the tutorial actually shows you quite a bit of it, so I'll just show you the more in-depth details that aren't covered in the tutorial and you have to pick up. Like for example, in the shipyards, for example, if you're taking a look at ships, you could be fooled into thinking these two are pretty much similar, but the extra turret and the broadside port really do make a huge difference, especially the broadside port. The turrets not so much. Turrets are basically your, for the most part, your universal weapons. They can do quite well against fighters, they can do quite well against capital ships. But, for example, if you fit them with a missile mount, which is a swarmer type missile mount, such a, no, not here, this. If you fit this, it'll be quite a good anti-capital ship. If you fit this, the capital weapon, pardon. If you fit this, it'll be quite a good anti-strike craft weapon. But this is completely useless against anything bigger than fighters and gunships. And this is pretty useless against fighters and gunships, but it's very good against larger ships. Then you also have your standard machine gun type thingy. If you're into filling the air with a lot of lead, this will be your favorite. You also have this, which is sort of a railgun, to be honest, if I'm to be accurate. It fires at long range, it has pretty good damage against both capital ships, their shields and their armor. And against fighter craft it tracks well enough to shoot basically anything. Not too good against ordnance like the ones launched by the swarmer mounts, for example. The flak turret you can set to shoot ordnance though, which does quite a good job of it. The shield busters are your basic variety bust shields, take no prisoners. Has a little bit of armor penetration too, but it's not spectacular. You also have leech turrets, which, as you can quite see, it reduces shield amount, it boosts, no mistaken. Oh. I did not know that small fighters are rendered inoperable. That's quite nice. The inhibit warp capability, I've not yet seen a usefulness for it. I've not had enemies run away from me in warp, but it could be possible later on. I have no clue. The particle laser is your basic shoot, kill type weapon. Don't be fooled about the shield penetration thing. Mated with a couple of secondary pulse mounts, it does its job very well. The mining laser though, it's quite a peculiar thing to have really, because with most games you're like mining laser, yeah, completely worthless in combat. Not so much here. This is the Mark 1 mining laser versus the Mark 1 particle laser, which is the military. This does 100 damage per second. Why would you have damage per second? Small nitpicks. You can see stuff like this from time to time, but it's really just typos. As you can see, this does 100 DPS and this does 80. In practice, you barely notice the difference. So yes, you can outfit a mining ship completely with lasers and not die to fighter craft. Now, broadsides, this being a game with quite a big amount of inspiration, if I'm not mistaken, from Starfleet Command. At least that's the vibe I get when I'm playing it. You're locked on a two-dimensional plane. Unlike Starfleet Command, they've gone for broke and actually went with the naval combat inspiration. Well, flavor to be precise. And you have your basic jack of all trades type broadside weapon, average range, average damage, average reload speed. You have your tachyons, which are short range brutals, and you have your protons, which are weaker damage but longer range. To be honest, tachyons are more for smaller ships. Protons are for larger ones, because you tend to have situations where frigates or generally smaller, faster ships than you are, they can actually be aimed with the broadside reliably, tend to run away. The pulse cannons are basically when you're just feeling lazy and you don't want to think one way or the other. The secondaries are basically your fixed. They are weapons that are fixed at a 90-degree angle pointing away from your hull on both sides. You have can't really remember off the top of my head how many, but for example on this ship, mine, the Barracuda, I have 2 ports for secondaries, and they shoot basically directly at the sides. They're limited range, at least with the flak cannons, but with the dumbfire missiles or the heat seekers, I'd imagine they're much longer ranged. The flak cannons are basically very good at taking out enemy ships around your ship if you're stationary. If you're moving, enemy ships of the fighter and gunship variety, of course, slightly behind your ship. So if, for example, you're using flak cannons on your secondaries to shoot down incoming torpedoes or other such projectiles, you'd have to swing your ship. You have to turn it slightly to aim the spread of flak cannon shells towards the torpedoes if they're coming at you from the front. On smaller ships, that's not much of a problem, but on larger ones, your dumbfire missiles are basically torpedoes that deal a lot of damage, but they go in a straight line. Heat seekers, less damage than dumbfires, but they are actually smart. Mines are mines, you drop them, they kill shit. EMP is basically fucking with fighter craft and gunships. Not much to talk. That would cover this. The defense is your standard hull, shield, and secondary shield, which is an activated ability with a cooldown and a energy bar. The energy bar goes down with impacts taken or with time passed. The shields are in Star Trek Fleet Command variety. You have your front, back, and side shields, four per total. Each has its own energy level, so you can spin your ship around to spread around damage, especially when you're taking broadsides from enemy ships or taking torpedo salvos. And the hull is basically the armor plate. You do not want to have your shields fall down, but if they do, having a good armor plating, or for example here you have only ceramic armor plating, but I imagine in other systems you can find different types. These protect your internals. They do not protect your external mounts though, such as exhaust ports, maneuvering ports, turrets, broadside ports, and such and such. Taking damage to them reduces their effectiveness. They can even be destroyed, impairing function completely until you get them repaired, of course. Once they breach your armor plating, they go into your internals, which is your reactor, your life support, your etc. etc. Basically, do not have your armor breached because you will die. Components, engines, they make you go fast STL. Booster, they boost the STL speed. Warp drive, they're what dictates your FTL speed within the system. You need a jump drive for using wormholes to go into other systems. The warp drive is fairly important for larger ships because, well, yeah, the larger you are, the slower you move even in FTL. Cargo hold, you have a standard amount and then you can upgrade it. This is quite a good thing to have for the smuggling inclinated individuals, but yeah, only 4. The standard amount, which is augmented by this amount, so basically, for example, mine has 16 plus 4, 20. I do not know how this will work though, but quite probably 4 tons will get into that, and so on and so forth. Tractor beam is what you use to pull in loot when you're in close enough proximity because it's limited range, 1200 yards in this case, I assume it's yards, it's never mentioned to be honest, but at least as far as I've seen. The jump drive, as I said, is what gives you the ability to go into other systems. This you do not start with, you have to purchase. The storyline missions seem not to lock this away, so basically you can Skyrim your way. If you want to play the storyline, you can play the storyline. If you want to play the sandbox elements, you can go that way. Just be careful not to start your storyline when you have a dreadnought, because then it's basically cakewalk. Your subsystems are basically either functionality upgrades for certain systems, like the mining laser. This increases yield, this repairs you, and this gives you some resistance to nebula interference, which can affect you if you're a missile boat. Not so much scanner performance. Could be an issue later on, but I've not run into it in the first system. Deflection absorber, this is one of the more interesting ones because it takes the energy from missiles and mines and turns it into shield energy, which could be quite useful. And the others are basically augmentations to weapon systems, turrets, missiles, and heat management, which allows you to shoot longer. Specials are linked to the storyline. I won't get into these. These are for you to discover. Surplus is your loot tab, basically. The loot tab where modules such as weapons, defense, and components go into, that dropped on the battlefield and you loot it. The shipyard, as you've seen, pretty ample selection even in the first system. They seem to be a pretty straightforward upgrade, at least as far as standard ships go. There seem to be 2 factions around which you can join, the Mercantile Guild and the Mercenary Corporation, which have their own ships, which seem to be not so much side grades as their own thing. For example, the Mercantile Group has a ship that fits between the Mastodon and the Icarus, which is a cargo ship, of course. It has more broadside ports, more turrets, but conversely has less maneuverability, though it's still quite fast. And it has about 9 extra hull size, if I'm not mistaken. And they also have another ship which fits around Manticore and Heavy Frigate, which is the Vanguard, which is not available in this station. That's basically a nasty ass ship. Average maneuverability, but very good speed. Very good for your rogue trader wannabes, to be honest. Commodity market's your basic market. You buy commodities from there and sell them. This enables you to do the whole trader thing using mercantile ships if you so choose, or using standard ones if not. Basic functionality: buy low, sell high. The mission board, you can accept missions, quit missions, or check missions however you need. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's go. Let's accept this one. Oh, we're full. Damn it. The missions are for various groups, not only the system militia, also the pirates and stuff like that, but generally speaking, you do not want to piss off the militia as much as you want to piss off the cartels or the pirate factions in general. As I said, mission log lets you keep track of missions, both storyline and ones you've accepted on your own. Setting as primary highlights them. Basically, you have each mission has a golden diamond around it, pointing to the waypoint where you have to go, or the wormhole you have to go through to get to the waypoint. The standard missions have a regular diamond with an empty inner space. Storyline missions have a diamond with an exclamation point in the middle, and you also have transponder coordinates which you can get from unidentified signals, which have a diamond and a question mark in them. Now, moving on. The bar itself is, you use the bartender for information, either information regarding the system in general if you just arrived into it, market information, bounty information, stuff like that. The news board gives you more scattered information, more generalized, but it affects more areas, so to say. I mean, for example, we have pirate lords cited here and here. These you usually do not hear from this guy, but sometimes you do. Pirate lords themselves are basically your standard tougher enemies, but nice rewards, usually about 10,000 credits in the first system. Other news are what sort of stations suffer what type of modifiers. For example, tech boom usually means they buy more raw materials and sell more refined materials. Famine, they need food. And a convoy, usually when you check convoys, you check to see what you should hit as a pilot. And you can also hire mercenaries. Usually the more expensive, the better. Now, we finished with this part. Let's depart the station. As you can see, as I've said as well, movement is two-dimensional. You cannot move up or down. But as far as refinement of this movement system is concerned, it's very well put together. Now, movement in general. You use the E key to increase speed in increments. You use the Q key to decrease speed in increments. You use the W key to initiate boosting. And you use the S key to initiate braking. A and D are basically your heading. Or in more layman's terms, turn left or right. Once you're far enough away from anything that has its own gravity well, you increase speed to maximum sublight speed. As you can see, this loot is highlighted, and if we're within SM, I don't even know what that is, within the tractor beam's effective range, you can press and hold E to pull it in, and it goes to your cargo hold, which then you can access and sell the loot in the commodities market, or via the surplus tab if it's a module or stuff like that, in the fittings and equipment tab. Now, once you're sufficiently far enough from any sort of gravity well, you can engage your warp via holding the E key. Yes, a lot of functions are set to the E button. Quickly, talking about... Oh, let's get the pirate lord first. Exploration in this game is basically you have every station marked when you warp in, but you do not have points like, for example, that asteroid belt over there. You do not have it discovered. You can sort of see it, but it's not marked on the map. Is it important? Is it not? Well, depends on what your inclinations are. If you're a miner, it's quite important to know where the asteroid fields are. If you're into exploring and trying to find loot, finding the debris fields are quite important. Some nebulas also have loot within them. Get too close to an object with a gravity well and you get pulled out of warp. No ill effects though, you just get pulled out. Let's see if we can catch that pirate lord and show a bit off of the combat. Where is he? There he is. He's moving quite fast. I think he has 3 escorts. I'm trying to not go over them. Turrets shoot on their own, and you can program them. Well, program them in the sense of programming their priorities in terms of targeting via the tactical tab, which you can access via escape and pressing the arrow, either 2 or 3 or via simple clicks. As you can see here, you can just change for each turret what they target. There are a lot of fighters.
Missiles inbound. Accelerating sunlight.
Chasing a pirate lord is not easy. Sometimes you have to overshoot to actually catch them, especially when they're traveling really fast. Yeah, they really have a big retinue in this case. But it's better than facing them directly with such a large retinue. And it's quite hard actually aiming for these guys, especially considering their mobile points. Good, we're in decent range.
Level yellow.
Keep trying, keep trying. We have to pull those corvettes away.
Exiting sunlight.
Right clicking and holding brings up your broadside options.
Missiles inbound.
Holding space activates your deflector. The enemy also have deflectors.
You're tearing me apart!
Oh yes, Lisa, I am.
Collision warning.
This is getting too hot for me.
This is now!
Oh yes, it is.
Collision warning.
IP theft. Best kind of theft. Now, this guy is in a pirate command ship,
Missiles inbound.
which is quite a nasty customer to deal with, but,
Shields down.
and as you can see, he just punched through my shields. Damn it. But we've also punched through his, so
Missiles inbound.
fair's fair.
Collision warning.
Holding the right key allows you to actually aim your broadsides quite a bit more. But there's also the option to basically shotgun it.
Collision warning. Deflectors depleted. Boundary received.
Nice, this one was 24. And you also dropped a cargo container with a mining laser and metallic ore.
Accelerating to supply.
Usually not valuable, but yeah, better than nothing. Now that function you just saw me activate to see where the loot was, you bring up the context menu via the control button and press pulse. This allows you to see valuables, enemies within the area, and friendlies as well. Let's see, is that pirate, the other pirate lord still around? Yep, he is. We're gonna get him as well. Oh, this is a cargo container.
Exit satellite.
That is why you investigate. Gold ingots and obtainium. And this is within a nebula, so yeah.
Full stop.
Why you should not neglect exploration as an idea.
Port shields down.
Problem is the
Engines at maximum.
nebula affects your shields, as
Exit
said
satellite.
earlier. But having a good null booster, which is
Accelerating to satellite.
a long duration booster with a high maximum top boost amount, but slight acceleration, is a good thing to have when diving into dangerous areas. Especially if you don't know there's something else in there that will try to shoot you while your shields are down. Now, in general feel, the music and the tone of the game itself kind of makes me think of TV shows such as Firefly or even a little bit Star Wars, but not as much Star Wars as Firefly, to be honest.
This can't be happening!
What the?
Accelerating to satellite.
Well, there's a nice, interesting flaw. A nice ghost in the machine, if you will. Good, we caught them. Now, what are you in? Looks like a frigate.
Exit satellite.
But let's take out his escort first. The blue beam is the mining laser, and the I think it's pink.
Collision warning.
I always like my nuts. Now, Lobo Kader. And to meet Dying Maker. He's using, I think, scatters and pulses on his turrets. As you can see, he's quite a bit tougher than his comrade was. But nothing my mining laser can't solve.
Bounty received.
Him being a lot easier than the last guy, the bounty is not that impressive. But still, 12k is quite a bit.
Collision warning. Hold full.
Oh, we're full. But it's soy paste and nuts and bolts, so nothing too much to lose.
Stellar map.
Let's quickly take a, if I'm not mistaken, this.
Accelerating to sublight.
That belongs to one of the groups in the game which you can join. The Mercantile Guild, for example, you can join after paying a tax of 10,000 credits, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot to discover in this game, and to be honest, I've only ever spent around 9 hours without recording playing this game.
Exiting sublight. Docking.
Let's see if this is a...
Repairs complete.
No, this is not a mercantile station. Now what I see. Let's quickly sell off what we picked up. Yes, quite weird to have ceramic plating in both the surplus tab and the, well, not surplus tab, the armor tab and here, but you get used to it. Now let's see, equipment, surplus. This we do not need. Shield buster, no. Deflector, no. Okay. Now we're a little bit lighter. Let's see if we can manage to find a distress signal or... No, let's actually head towards the mission, so you guys get an idea how missions work.
Engines at maximum.
Well, for the most part they're go to X and either kill everything, go to X, kill somebody, not kill everybody, or go to X and retrieve stuff, at least as far as the first system is concerned. This game is quite well optimized, to be honest. I mean, I've not checked to see how many frames I'm actually getting within the game, but by the looks of things, running on full ultra, no, not one single option downgraded to run better. It seems to be running well above 60, and that's quite impressive considering my system is not the best of the best, as you can imagine. It's a AMD A320 at 4.22 gigahertz and a AMD R9 290 XFX Double Dissipation Edition with 8 gigabytes of RAM at 1866 megahertz. So yeah, not the most premier of games, but neither the GPU nor the CPU are having issues at all. And in fact, that small glitch earlier where that escort popped out of existence and back next to the Pirate Lord is the first time I've actually seen anything glitchy, to be honest.
Incoming hail. Threat level orange.
Well, look what we have here. Juicy pickings.
I don't know if you're a dude or a chick, but you're dead.
Sure. There's no talking out of this one, mate. Don't give up too easy now. I likes my pretty square.
There's a command ship, hammerhead. Oh, and if I'm not mistaken, pulse.
Bounty detected.
That's quite a lot of them. I also saw somewhere around here a valuable
Accelerating
asteroid.
to sublight.
We'll see about that when I'm not gonna get shot at by my other big ship with a
Missiles
rather
inbound.
big amount of friends.
Missiles inbound.
As you can see, the pulse cannons do quite a bit.
Yellow. Port shields down.
Their superb range allows them to keep shooting at the enemy
Missiles inbound.
and put holes into them.
Missiles inbound.
In this game, it is quite possible to dodge things such as beam weapons if you so choose.
Starboard shields down. Missiles inbound. Collision warning.
There!
Starboard shields down.
No!
Missiles inbound. Port shields down. Missiles inbound.
Let us see.
Missiles inbound.
Okay, not much left. Let's head in. Death in the game, not depth. Death in the game is
Missiles inbound.
handled quite simply. You die, you have to reload. Once you punch through their armor, it's quite easy to get
Collision warning.
them down.
Mission complete.
And that's 30,000 credits. Quite easy, but it takes quite a while to actually get
Collision warning.
a hang of the game well enough to actually do this without much stress. And the best armed ship is not always the best ship for the job. This is a corvette. The ship before this one was a medium class frigate, if I'm not mistaken. Now, let's see about that.
Accelerating to sublight. Bounty detected.
We have 3 enemies with bounties over there. Detected valuables. I wonder what I missed.
Bounty detected.
We're gonna get those guys right afterwards.
Collision warning.
ramming into debris or asteroids or stuff like that usually ends up with shield damage. If you slam into something hard enough though, I'd imagine you'd take your shields down and possibly do damage to yourself. So be careful. The Korean pirate scows are quite nasty ships, but we've dealt with them for long enough to know how to take care of them. The scows themselves seem to be retrofitted first tier mercantile guild ships. That's basically them, how they look. Of course, different skin though, but yeah.
Exit subway.
Not so difficult really with the right weapons.
Collision warning.
And that was that. Those guys, not worth the effort. Oh, and generally when you're buying new ships, make sure they're fast. Because you're not always going to get into a situation where you can kill everything, so it's better to actually survive. And in this game,
Stellar map.
as much as it sounds weird, running is the better part of valor. Let's see about getting the mercantile station. There it is, that's one. So I can quickly show you guys their offer.
Exiting sunlight. Repairs complete.
The Turaf, which is the pirate scow, as you can quite clearly see. Quite a nice little ship. Quite beautiful too, to be honest. It's classed as a light hauler, fast speed, slow maneuverability, so it turns like a cow. But compared to the Mastodon, it has one extra turret slot, if memory serves, though it's less bountiful in secondary and component banks. The Radovich is basically a brute and a half. 7 turrets, 8 broadside ports. It's basically as well armored as well armed, and I believe as well armored as a heavy destroyer. It has nice amounts of cargo hold space, and surprisingly, it's actually much more speedy than the destroyer. But again, it's sacrificed in secondary ports and component banks. This being a trader station, you can find mostly anything you want in here. Pure water is surprisingly expensive. Antimatter spec, crystalline asteroid origin, very mostly for applications associated with certain sexual practices. What in the damn hell do you do with this? Did not notice this one. Okay, cargo hold and stuff to sell. Guild offices is where you come to sign up and check the news. The mission boards supplies specific missions for the Mercantile Guild mostly, though it doesn't shy away from also having ones that affect your other standings. And let's quickly check the equipment bay. No special weapons, if I'm not mistaken, at all, except self-defense. This is a better one than you can find in the regular station though. And defensive hull. Oh look, they have organic plating. Loses a lot of damage capacity, but it takes less damage from bombers, strikecraft and such. So good for slow, cumbersome ships. No shield upgrades. Deflectors, they have shock deflectors. Shock deflectors are... They can take more damage than the regular ones, but recharge slower, as the tooltip says. Now, components, engines. Best, and nothing to show. Maneuvering booster, enable mitigation, no mine repulsor, no gas scoop. Don't think neither had the detail scanner as well. So yeah, some subsystems, armor, and ships. Let's quickly pop over to
Stellar map.
the second system so you guys can see the transition, how it is done. Basically the only loading screen you'll ever find in the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Accelerating to sublight.
Via the control function you can also use closest mission or closest station when you need to get somewhere fast and you don't feel like looking at the map via the M key.
Stellar map.
What else can I say? Oh, and the sector map, I get a sneaking suspicion this is not all of it, but I don't have any sources for that. I say it's not all of it, but could be, could not be. Because, for example, here you do not see all of the map. If you're in the top corner, you do not see the bottom. And yeah, we're definitely into one side. You don't even have to go to them to see what's in them. Let's get that jump gate. Oh, a distress signal. Good, we don't have to commit suicide in the next system to actually show this. Now, distress signals
Looks like they fell for it. Let's take them away.
come in one or two flavors. Fake and real.
Missiles inbound. Bounty received. Collision warning.
This one was a fake one, obviously. The real ones usually have a trader getting attacked by pirates, and when you save them they give you a standard amount, depends on how much you have to fight. In this system usually you get about 2.5k, and it's not that difficult to fight. This is your jump gate. This is what you use your jump drive for to move to the next system, or different systems in general.
Accelerating to sublight. Stellar map.
Completely new system, and there is a quite different amount of difficulty.
Accelerating to sublight.
Now, where was it? Let's see if we can go there without triggering the primary mission. The difficulty hike in this system versus the last one is basically in the last one, if you saw a regular destroyer, you'd be like, oh my god, that's so rare. In this system, they're basically nearly the bottom end of the spectrum. Unidentified signal, nice. We can also show you the minigame now. The hacking minigame, that is. When you get an unidentified signal, you go there, and you get one of these. You hold E when you get the option to hack transponder, and then you quickly press the sequence of buttons required, and you'll get either financial information, a weapon cache or something like that with loot in it, something like that. Information for bounties, basically info.
Engines at maximum.
Now let us go to primary mission Colfax.
Accelerating to satellite.
Mission risk is quite important. The better your ship is, the lower the risk. Considering that's very high, I'm expecting there to be something. Okay, what's this distress signal? Dreadnoughts, battle cruisers, let's see.
War inhibited by coastal cloud.
Corin gunship, Corin extractor. I think we can actually take these.
As you can see, I'm in a bit of trouble. Sure could use your help.
Threat level yellow.
Wow. That's definitely not something I want to be on the end of.
Collision warning.
Oh yeah, you won't forget it. You can tell the devil I said hi.
I owe you a debt of gratitude.
Nice, gold ingots. More gold ingots.
Collision warning.
Oh, that opportunity is
Accelerating to satellite.
an actual waypoint. And as you saw, the trader gave me a reward, which not much, but the other dude did drop gold ingots, so I'm not that pissed off. Gold ingots sell for about 10k. Let's see about this transponder. They're usually something to do with exploration or stuff like that. We'll go there in a bit. Coordinates.
Orange.
That's a mine.
Accelerating to satellite. Threat level red. Collision warning. Orange.
Time to outrage you.
Front level, yellow.
Meteoric diamonds. These are not cheap.
Accelerating the sunlight.
I think there's another one in there.
Work inhibited by stellar gas. Exiting sunlight.
Uh-huh.
Stellar map. Full scroll.
We can show you quickly the mining element. Because we have a nice juicy asteroid to mine. Shifting from broadsides to mining, well, technically it's the beam group. Let's just get a nice look. Come on, show us that nice asteroid. Okay, this should do. Two.
Broadsides.
Force the laser.
Weather overheating. The engines cooled out.
Yes, they do overheat. Alien artifacts. Nice. Let's see. Anything else around? I think that's one. I think.
Collision warning.
My time spent mining in EVE Online is showing off.
Collision warning.
That's basically mining, more or less. Now, when you select the turrets, it's a bit harder to move your ship because you turn a bit too much. So usually use broadside because it's a bit better. Plus, the turrets can do their own thing quite easily. Let's see.
Front level, orange.
Muraf Ironclaw.
Exiting sunlight. Missiles inbound. Missiles inbound.
Yet there's a lot of dots. And he's a difficult one. I don't think it's a boss, but it's still quite nasty.
Missiles inbound.
Considering that ship's better than mine. By a fair degree.
Satellite boosters depleted. Satellite boosters depleted.
That's what you get.
Route level, blue.
Now,
Stellar map.
let's actually head there.
Sunlight. Exiting sunlight. Warp inhibited by stellar mass.
Guy hates stellar masses.
Warp inhibited by stellar mass. Accelerating to sunlight.
The lack of a Z-axis can make dodging asteroids a bit more difficult. Oh, come on.
Work exhibited on stellar mass. Full stop.
WWDAWA. This is a drop. So, how far is that drop?
Stellar map.
Pretty far, I take it. Let's just head for the dock.
Engines at maximum. Accelerating to sublight. Exit.
Keep your nose clean in this sector.
Don't piss off the militia, they usually have much better weapons than even the pirates. Meet Kofax, repairs.
Repairs complete.
The Arctus, which is the standard ship for the militia in the first system. The Vanguard is the heavy frigate that came between the destroyer and what was it? The Barracuda, I think it was. And the Tenhausen comes between the Mastodon and the green one. Can't remember right now. It's a turreted gunboat. Let's see equipment, weapons. Let's see broadsides. Neutron beams. Okay. Secondaries. Anything new? Nope. Anything new here besides antimatter probe? This one's interesting. Yet very expensive. Okay. This pretty much concludes the preview / first impressions. For me, if I'd have to repurchase the game or purchase it for friends or family, I would. For $20 US, which is said to be the price upon release in about 10 or so days from now, from the moment of recording, which will be on the 20th of October. It is quite good. For someone that likes the genre, it's very good for what you pay for it. And for someone new to the genre, it's quite a nice gateway drug, what with Starfleet Command getting on in age and X3 being a, well, let's just say an exercise and grind. But yeah, a game with a Firefly aesthetic, simplistic but well thought out movement system and control scheme, and a very deep, quite how can I put this, quite deceptively deep feature set. Yeah, even if the sector map is all we get with less than 20 systems, it's still quite a bit to play. And I think of worse things to spend $20 on, like for example certain Steam games I won't mention. Thank you for watching, gents, and until next time, off though.